did I think he was going to die? I would have made sense. And this is what I mean by that. Guys, we obviously are at the end of Season 3. We've talked about it the entirety of Season 3 that Henry Cavill is not re-signing with The Witcher. The original plan was to have Liam Hemsworth take over Geralt's role. And then there are reports that it has halted production and there's no timetable for if or when it will be back. My thought process was, why don't we just pull a reverse Taran? Right? It's been perfect. Geralt dies. We pull in another Witcher that we can get to look very similar to Geralt. Call him Geralt. Only the few people who know Geralt very closely will know that it's not actually him, but the rest of the world doesn't need to know that. Just the same exact thing with what they're trying to do with Taran and Cirilla. Anyone who knows Cirilla closely knows that Taran's not Cirilla, but they got the whole continent convinced that it is. So why don't we do that and revert that? Hire me, guys. I got you. I got y'all's back. Like, you want to hire a writer. Your boy right here can help you out. All I'm saying is all you had to do was have Henry Cavill as Geralt die, bring another Witcher in, make it look just like him, and just call him Geralt and make it seem as if the White Wolf still lives. And he just takes on that persona, and he becomes the new Geralt that everyone still believes is the real Geralt outside of the ones that are closest to him. They know the truth. That's all you got to do. Now you got a series back on your hands.
After you have that done, like, say you have that done right before he dies. Like, he doesn't recover, right? Like, he can't. Well, then you have this new girl that's more, because it's Liam Hemsworth, and he's going to look younger. He's more like a regressed Geralt, like almost like the back of the way he was. So then you're going to have to bring in kind of like the other Witchers that knew the other Geralt before, and like Yennefer and see, and maybe Cirilla, and it focused more on her, but kind of brings him back, even though like maybe he has those other memories like Taran, but brings him back more to the Geralt that we know. So it would have been like perfect. People could kind of get on board with it because you would always remember in the back of your mind that this show had another Witcher. Like, you would remember, like, oh, wow, like, remember Geralt, like, for Geralt, even though this is, like, a new Geralt. And I feel like people could get on board with that because they're like, wow, we want this Geralt, this Liam Hemsworth, see if he can get revenge for the old Geralt, and maybe he has, like, more experience in a way, or maybe he's more, like, kind of like haywire, right? Like how Geralt was in the beginning with, like, Renfri, and can't really be as controlled.
Laid off a great scenario for the transition to go super well, and we didn't get that. So I don't know. Maybe in the back, maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they have hopes that they are going to get a re-sign from Henry Cavill somehow. We're going to do some 11th hour magic, and we're going to get him back. Or they're going to throw this show to shit, and we're just going to just try to fucking like make some things happen out of nowhere. To, like what we were just talking about. You're walking down that foresty bridge path, and we open up in season 4 and it's a different face. I've got no idea. Makes no sense to me. Like I said, I think we laid out a good plan to how we could have made it work, because at the end of the day, Amir has no idea what Geralt looks like. Vilgefortz has one eye, so I'm doubtful he can see the difference now. Like, you know what I mean? So the bad guys that they've got to go after, like, that it wouldn't be much of a. They would think that's actually Geralt.
With how sloppy this season has been, do you think it could recover next season if they kept Henry Cavill, and they would be back to how? Remember in the beginning of the season, first 2 episodes were fucking bangers. Like, they were on top of it, and I mean, even that episode 6 was fucking awesome, man. So if they kept Henry Cavill with the twists and turns they made, would we look back, say if that was the overall plan, would we look back and say, wow, that was really creative, and it would be back to top notch again? Could they get back there? Or do you think it's already such a mess, there's no way they could? Second part of that is, say Liam Hemsworth takes over. What's the plan? How do you introduce him next season? Is he just literally just going to walk in as like walking across that bridge, I'm Geralt? Is there any recovery from this to get The Witcher back to where it was at the top of its game at the end of season 2.
Let's go with the first part of that debate first. You asked me if I think if they're able to come to terms with Henry Cavill, if they're going to be able to right the ship and get it back on track to where it was before this whole contract dispute ever became a thing. I think they can, if they make the concession to stick to the source material and let Henry Cavill really help guide them in that direction. I think it's very easy to fix a few things that maybe don't make sense right now. I think there's ways to... Because at the end of the day, if we were going to compare this as like the Netflix's answer to Game of Thrones, we could somewhat safely assume they were targeting 10 seasons. Right around 10 seasons. Maybe 8. We're on season 3. You can right the ship this early. You can do it. You know? I think if they made the concessions and decided that we're going to stick to how things were in the beginning and why it was so successful, and you know we'll make it work, they could do it. Now to answer the second part, and you ask me how they're going to introduce Liam Hemsworth and where that's going to go. They're probably just going to do a Dario Harris and just be like, "Oh, here he is, guys. This is your boy Geralt. We're gonna try to pretend this is who he was the whole time." Because that was another one. Like, yeah, it wasn't a main character, but it's definitely a main support character, and their image was wildly different. You saw like the original Dario Harris very much almost looked like Achilles from Troy. You know, the clean shaven face, like built, tall, long hair, and then the new Dario Harris just looked completely different. Shaggy hair that's shorter, a beard there, small wiry frame, fast and quick but not strong and powerful. You couldn't really get two different actors to play that role. They were just so different from each other physically. But at the end of the day, people kind of just was like, all right. And it didn't really impact it that much. The difference here is this is the actual main character. And so it will impact it no matter what, because people are always going to compare what it was to where it went. Where Dario Harris, it was just a couple episodes in season 3. You didn't really draw a huge connection to him. And then season 4 opened up with a new one. So it wasn't so much like you didn't follow him along and get an idea of who he was as a character. So the change, while it was noticeable, wasn't that impactful. This is a little bit different. This is your main character. This is the guy that we know who's lived, sweat, dreamt, and bled The Witcher since he was casted on as Geralt of Rivia. So to replicate that performance with somebody else is going to be impossible, no matter who it is. But to do it with Liam Hemsworth and like I said, their body types and their physical appearances are wildly different too.
The Harry Potter movies, right, with Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson. Emma Watson, after Prisoner of Azkaban, was thinking about not doing the movies anymore. They basically got on their fucking knees to make sure she came back. Because you know why? Because even though, they're different than the books, those were wildly successful. And if Emma Watson was a different fucking person, I highly doubt the other ones would be. You can't replace someone like that. And you know, the directors knew what they had to do, whether they would fuck up. And that's what they need to do here. Do whatever you can to try to keep the guy in there. Because I really feel bad for Liam Hemsworth. Because no matter what he does, you're walking into a brick wall here. You can't walk in season 4 as the main guy and just expect people to accept who he is, with no sort of writing twist that explains that. And